Hi everyone, in this video I'm gonna share with you how to edit a dramatic picture in Lightroom. So that will be basically a mix of global adjustments, local adjustments, and some few color adjustments here and there, and let's see what we can have. So I'm gonna share my screen right now so that you can see the picture I wanna deal with. So this is the one I wanna deal with. This is a picture I took in the Lofoten during a workshop this winter. We were actually locked in during the whole morning because there was a lot of snow and the road hadn't been cleared yet, so we were basically locked in because of too much snow, but we were lucky because of course we were in front of a nice fjord, which is usually the case in the Lofoten, and we went with one of the participants a bit along the fjord, and we found this nice place where we could practice some nice long exposures, and we got very lucky because there was some small openings here in the sky, as you can see, and yeah, of course we could do the long exposure, which is what we have in the foreground. So this is how I worked on the picture earlier, and as I was working on it, I thought that would be really nice to share it with like anyone who would be interested to do this kind of exercises here. So let's start and edit this picture without any further ado. So we're going to start from scratch here. And the good thing about this picture, as you can see, is that there is already a good dynamic range. So either you see it on the picture or you look here on the right corner in Lightroom in the develop module, and you see that the histogram is towards the left, which means that there is more dark than highlights, and that's perfectly good because dark parts in a picture usually can be recovered, while highlights, when they're burned, it gets like really harder or even impossible to recover. So in this case, the picture is well exposed. So the first thing we want to do, or at least that I am doing, even before like touching any of the color and so on, like the temperature, is to recover the lights. So before that, I'm just gonna change the profile to something a little less contrasty, which is the Adobe Standard V2, so that, as you can see, it removes a little bit of the contrast in the darker parts of the picture, so that gets easier even to recover, like to recover the shadows. So the first thing I want to do is to bring a little bit of the exposure, but just a tiny bit of the exposure, like remove a little bit of the contrast so that I clear a little bit the picture, then bring down the highlights so that I recover the highlights, especially in the sky, then recover the shadows for the foreground, not too much, just enough so that we get to see what is happening here. I will bring back some of the white so that it pops a little bit the picture, that the whites like really bring some contrast like within the whites of the picture. So yeah, that boosts the white, as it says, because it's white. And what happened if I touch the black here? Maybe I can recover a little bit of the blacks, but not too much, just like this, so that it remains reasonable. And we can still adjust this later on, but I think that's a good starting point. Then I will add a little bit of clarity. As you can see on the foreground, especially, it adds a little bit of structure in the water, which is really cool. And let's touch a little bit of the vibrance, but just a tiny bit, because I always want to be careful with this. These are usually things that I'm touching first, and then I tend to come back to it to adjust them. So once I have this, I want to touch a little bit on the temperature of the picture. So I want my picture to be a little bit more like sunrises colors, and so a bit more orange. So for that, I go on the right and go a little bit further on the temperature, and I will go around like 9,000, something like this. So let's put it like this and like this. That's a good base for me to start working on. So once I'm done with this, then I'm gonna do some local adjustments. And by local adjustments, in the latest version of Lightroom, so you find them here below the histogram on the right hand side, and you've got masking basically. And this is how you do the local adjustments. So the first thing I want to do is to care about the foreground. So I'm going to do a linear gradient. So either I click on it, or if I know it, I push the M on the keyboard so that I have the shortcut and it's faster when you get used to it and when you want to use it. So the first thing I want to do here is to bring some clarity on the foreground, but not too much, just enough so that it really has a little bit of impact. And I maybe bring a little bit more shadows here, but still maybe a bit more contrast, but very tiny bit, a little more shadows like that. Then the second thing I want to do, I want still to focus here on the foreground, because I want to have here that part where the water is really showing the long exposure effect. I want to emphasize this a little bit. So I will add one more layer here and do a radial gradient. So I'm going to do a radial gradient just on that part. So I just move it around. Just make sure it covers the area enough so that the effect is really visible on the part I want to. If you look here on the right corner of the picture, you can see where it highlights exactly. So that's good. And here I will just add some contrasts. Some clarity, sorry. I'm just going to add some clarity. And as you can see, it really brings some structure in that part of the water. Maybe I do this a little bit bigger, that I have the top of the rock here, which is also affected. So now I see that there is like something interesting happening. I emphasized the bottom of my image. Now the next local adjustment I want to do, I want to take care of the sky, because here I can have a beautiful sky. So the first thing I do, I want to select my sky. And once it's selected, so I'm looking where it covers it. So unfortunately, the sky has been mixed with the, so if I just show you and zoom in, the sky has been mixed here with the snow, because there is not enough color difference between the sky and the snow. So the white part of the snow basically gets considered as sky. So in order to limit this, I will mix my sky selection with a linear gradient. So for this, I do intersect. So click right on the mask, on the sky mask, I do intersect, and then I select the linear gradient. And from there, I just like pull a linear gradient, adjust it well, and I move it around so that it's not too visible on the mountain. So I just put it a little bit higher up. And guys, just a quick reminder, in case you like my videos, you like the content I'm creating, and you're learning something when you're watching my videos, then feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below, or even in the corner here, right on the left. And that would be really amazing. That's supporting me. That helps me really go ahead with my YouTube channel. And also, of course, if you like this video, that would be amazing to give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you for that. And what I want to do here is really recover the sky as much as I can and bring some structure, and like also making sure the highlights are not blown out. So the first thing I want to do, I want to bring the contrast to the maximum, and this varies according to the pictures. On these pictures, it works well because the sky is not too aggressive. So when you have like much stronger color, be careful with bringing up the contrast too much. That can be a little bit tricky. And then I want to bring down the highlight.